Humanity, as it strides forward into the 21st century, is often celebrated for its technological advancements, its dazzling cities, and the apparent abundance of material goods. Yet beneath the surface of modern life, there lies a profound paradox, a pervasive sense of scarcity, of struggle, and of limitation that binds billions of people. This paradox is not born from the lack of resources, nor from the limitations of human ingenuity, but from the structures that have been built, often invisibly, around us. The financial system, at the heart of our daily existence, is one such structure, a trap so subtle and so pervasive that most never realize it is there. Consider for a moment the nature of money itself. The popular narrative holds that money is a limited, precious resource, something to be earned, saved, and guarded carefully. Yet, when we peer behind the curtain of modern banking, a startling truth emerges. Money is created out of thin air. Banks, through the mechanism of lending, effectively conjure new money with each loan issued. Central banks, with a few keystrokes, can inject trillions into the economy. If money can be produced in such limitless quantities, one must ask, why then do so many live in poverty? Why do hunger and deprivation persist, not as rare exceptions, but as the daily reality for millions? These questions are rarely asked, or if they are, the answers supplied are unsatisfying. We are told that scarcity is inevitable, that the world is a competitive place, and that only through hard work and relentless striving can we hope to secure our well-being. But what if this scarcity is not a natural law, but an artificial construct, one maintained by a system that serves the interests of a minority at the expense of the majority? Why, in a world where money can be created at will, do people go without the basic necessities of life? Why does the gap between rich and poor widen relentlessly year after year? The sense of lack that permeates society is not only material but psychological. People spend countless hours working jobs they dislike, sacrificing their time, their health, and their relationships, all in the name of money. The specter of financial insecurity haunts even those who appear to have enough. Crime, too, is often driven by a sense of desperation, a belief that there simply isn't enough to go around. That survival depends on taking from others. When you trace the roots of conflict, whether between individuals or nations, you often find the same underlying belief in scarcity.
If the system is so obviously tilted, why do so few see it? The answer lies in conditioning. From an early age, we are taught to accept the rules of the financial game as immutable, to equate money with value, and to regard those who possess it as inherently superior. We are encouraged to compete rather than cooperate, to envy rather than empathize. The trap, then, is not only economic, but also mental, a web of beliefs and habits that keeps us running in place, never questioning the foundations of the system itself. Yet, history shows that no system, however entrenched, is unchangeable. The first step toward freedom is to see the trap for what it is. Begin by asking the questions that are usually left unspoken. Why do we allow a tiny elite to control the creation and distribution of money? Why do we accept a system that produces abundance for some and scarcity for others? What would happen if, instead of fighting over scraps, humanity chose to cooperate and share? The power to change the system lies not in violence or revolution, but in the quiet, persistent force of mass cooperation. Throughout history, the greatest transformations have occurred not through force, but through collective will. When enough people refuse to play by the old rules, the rules themselves must change. Imagine a world in which communities come together to create local currencies, to share resources, to support one another without waiting for permission from distant authorities. Imagine networks of trust and mutual aid, where people are valued not for their wealth, but for their contribution to the common good. Such changes may seem idealistic, even utopian, but they are already happening in small ways around the world. Cooperative businesses, community gardens, time banks, and alternative currencies all point toward new possibilities. These initiatives are not just experiments, they are seeds of a different future. The more people participate, the stronger these networks become, gradually eroding the power of the old system. The journey out of the trap begins with awareness. but it gains momentum through action. Each time someone chooses cooperation over competition, generosity over greed, they weaken the chains that bind humanity. This is not to say the process will be easy or quick. The habits of scarcity are deeply ingrained, and those who benefit from the current system will resist change. But history is filled with examples of ordinary people achieving the extraordinary when they act together with purpose and determination. It is important to remember that abundance is not merely a matter of material wealth. True abundance encompasses time, relationships, health, and meaning. A society built on cooperation and mutual support can provide a richness of life that no amount of money can buy. When people are freed from the constant anxiety of survival, they can devote their energies to creativity, learning, and the pursuit of happiness.
The trap that holds humanity is not inevitable. It is a product of human choices, and it can be dismantled by human choices. The way forward is not to fight each other for a share of artificial scarcity, but to recognize the abundance that already exists and to build systems that allow everyone to share in it. Where there is a will, there is a way. The path out of the snare begins with a simple act: asking the right questions and refusing to accept answers that serve only the few.
In the end, the greatest power lies not in money, but in the collective will of people who choose to cooperate, to create, and to care for one another. The snare loses its grip when enough people decide to walk out of it together. And in that decision, there is hope, not just for individuals, but for all of humanity.